All right, today we're going to talk about solving equations. So when you are doing this, there are some steps to solving the equations. So first off, if there's a fraction, clear the fraction. So you're going to multiply all the terms by the smallest number that's divisible by the denominator, so your least common denominator. Then simplify both sides as much as you can, and then move your variable on one side, constant on the other. Usually the variable's on the left, not always, but it doesn't matter which one. But either way, as long as you get a variable by itself, and then you're going to do the move the term, and then if you need to multiply or divide. So I did the first one for you, so let's go ahead, let's check here. So first we want to make sure, I always draw the line down the middle, and then I like to simplify first. So when we simplify like terms, that's going to give you 8x, and then I added the one over here, because we're going to move this whole term across the line. When you move it across the line, you need to do the opposite sign. All right, so now, like I said, I simplified that to 8x, so I've got 8x equals 17. Now, we want to get x all by itself, so I made this my variable side, so the x needs to stay here, but the 8 needs to go over there. So x stays, 8 moves. So since we're technically 8 times x, you need to divide both sides, each term by 8. That simplifies to give you 1x, and then you have a fraction of 17 over 8. All right, so what I want you to do here is make sure you draw your line down here, and then you're going to simplify each side as much as possible, so you can combine those, and then once you simplify each side, then you can start moving terms. So if you did this correctly, you will get a fraction. It's x equals 9/8. All right, now I'm doing another one here for you. So this one has distributing. So again, I always draw my line down, and then I like to distribute first, and once I get here, I got 49w, and then here I get -7, and then I'm just bringing down that 3. All right, we didn't have to do anything on this side, so we're just bringing everything down. Now we're going to combine like terms to give you that. So now I've got -4 minus 6w equals 49w minus 4. Since each side's as simplified as I could get, this is going to be my constant side, this is going to be my variable side. So since we want to move this across to over here, you have to do the opposite sign. Okay, that cancels out, and then I'm left with -4 equals 55w minus 4. Now we need to move this over here by making it a +4. That cancels out, and I'm left with 0 equals 55w. Now again, we need to move just the 55 over here. We want to keep the w there. So you have to divide both sides by 55. And then 0 divided by 55 is 0, and that simplifies to 1, so you get w. All right, so you're going to try this one on your own. Again, make sure you're drawing your line. Make sure you decide which side's your variable, which side's your constant, doesn't matter which one. And then if you did this correctly, n should equal 2, or -2, excuse me. All right. So now, solving fractions. So with this, you want to use inverse operations, and to clear a fraction, you're going to multiply the entire equation by the least common multiple of the denominator. So if the problem is a fraction equal to a fraction, you can cross multiply. So what I did here is I showed you 2 different ways to solve this. So first we have this way, and all we're doing here is just solving. We draw a line down, and we want to move this 4 over here, so we have to do the opposite. And then all that's left, and we can ignore this right now, all that's left on this side is m/6 equals 4. So what we want to do, since we want to get rid of this 6, you have to multiply both sides by 6, and then this is going to cancel out to give you 1. And then 4 times 6 is 24. So this is one way to do it. Here's how you clear the fraction. So what you need to do is technically that's over 1, technically that's over 1. So the least common denominator is 6. So we're multiplying everything by 6. So when you get here, you get 24. And when you get here, you technically have 6 over 6, which equals 1. And then on the other side, because you got to keep it balanced, 6 times 8 is 48. So now, subtract 24, because we need to move this across our line. Oops, I didn't draw the line, guys. My bad. All right, and then you go ahead and move your 24, and your answer is also 24. Oops. So when you're doing this, just remember, my bad. Okay, there we go. All right, so now this cancels, and you've got m equals 24. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to try this one, and I don't care if you do it this way or if you do it that way. But you're going to go ahead and solve that. If you did it correctly, you should have got negative 35. And then I'm going to show you how to do this way if you have a bunch of fractions. So I showed you how to, this is the clear the fraction way. So if you notice, all these are over 1, that's over 2, and that's a 4. So the least common denominator would be 4. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply this side by 4, this side by 4. So when we do that, we get 4 over 4x. And then this is 4x, and we're going to do the same thing over here. This is negative 12, and then this is 4 over 2x. So now we can go ahead. This will simplify to 1. That stays the same. This simplifies to 2. And now if you notice, there's no fractions. So draw your line. I'm going to make this my variable side. So let's simplify to give us 5x, and then now this is my constant side, so I need to move this guy over here. So what I'm going to do is subtract 2x, and I get 3x equals negative 12. Now I just want to move the 3 over here, so since you're multiplying, you have to divide both sides by 3. And then that simplifies to 1. And then this simplifies to negative 4, which is your answer. All right, so for your turn, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can multiply, you can clear the fraction, or you can cross multiply, so whatever way you would like to do. You're going to try that one. If you did it correctly, you should get x equals 12, and I'm showing you how to cross multiply. So if you cross multiply, there needs to be an equal sign in the middle. So you're going 16 times x, which gives you 16x, and then 64 times 7, which gives you 448. And then now we want to move the 16 over here, and since we're multiplying, you have to divide both sides by 16. That simplifies to give you 1x, and then x equals 28. All right, and then for this last one, you can solve it however you choose. If you want to clear the fraction, just solve for it. That's fine, but if you did it correctly, you should have had t equals negative 56. All right, now we're going to talk about one, none, and infinite solutions. So for this first part, one solution, we need to move this over here, so you're subtracting 1. And I get 3x equals 9. Well, since it's 3 times x, you have to divide by 3. That simplifies to 1. Now, if you notice, we still have a variable. Since you have the variable, it's equal to a particular number. This is one solution. And your solution is x equals 3. All right, now we're going to get to no solution. So if you look here, I started it. So I just did my distributing, got that. Then I combined the like terms, I got that, and I just brought the negative 8 down. All right, so now we're going to start moving things. Now here, that's the same as negative 1x. So if you notice, they're both negative 1x, But so now we got to look what's happening here. Those are different. So if I were to go through and I were to add x, well here, this makes our variable cancel out, so I'm left with negative 8 equals 6. That is a false statement. Negative 8 does not equal 6, so what that means is it's no solution. So if you notice, the variable cancels out right here and here, and you're left with a false statement. So your answer is no solution. Now here, we started the same way. And I'm going to move the x to the other side. And I'm left with negative 8 equals negative 8. Well, this is actually true. That negative 8 does equal negative 8. So this is infinitely many solutions, or IMS, is your answer. All right, so remember, if the variables cancel out and you're left with a false statement, it's going to be no solution. If the variables cancel out and you're left with a true statement, it's going to be infinitely many solutions. All right, and that is solving equations.